so the best she could manage was to sit up. She tried to untie her wrists, but it was hard to get a grip at that angle, and it was some sailor knot so bewilderingly complex, she didn't even know where to start. She leaned back against something that gave a light grunt. She turned and saw a young boy next to her, also tied up. He was ragged and filthy, probably some street urchin that had been picked up same as her. Boy! She poked him hard in the ribs with her bony elbow. Wake up! Get off, filler, the boy muttered. I ain't got nothing for you. Stupid, she said and jabbed him again. We've been pissing south-ended. What? The boy's eyes opened. They were bright red, like rubies. It was the sign of a kid who'd been born to a mother addicted to coral spice. Nasty drug, very hooky, and slowly ate the brain right out of your head. Most kids who were born coral-hooked didn't last past the first month. Sadie figured there must be some hidden metal in this kid for him to have survived. Hidden, because she sure as piss couldn't see it now. The boy was blubbering and whining like a whipped puppy, tears falling from red eyes beneath a ragged curtain of brown hair as he cried, Where am I? What happened? I just told you, didn't I? Said Sadie. We've been south-ended. What's that mean? Are you a complete cunt-dropping? Said Sadie. Never heard of south-ending? How'd you live on the streets and not know such a thing? The boy's lip quivered like he was starting a fresh bout of the weeps. But he surprised her by drawing in a shaky breath and saying, I only just landed on the street about a month ago. I don't know much, so please, lady, please tell me what's going on. She looked at him, and he looked back at her, and maybe it was the first sign of soft old age setting in. But rather than laugh or spit, she just sighed. What's your name, kid? Rixadenteron. Piss hell, that's a mouthful. My mom was a painter. She named me after the great lyrical romantic painter, Rixadenteron III. She dead then, your mom? Yeah. They were quiet for a minute, with only the occasional sniffle from the boy, the wooden creak of the ship, and the gentle hiss as the prow broke the water. They must be sailing at a pretty good clip. Finally she said, So this is the length of it. We've been taken aboard a ship bound for the Southern Isles, press-ganged into service. They'll let us sit down here a while and stew, then they'll come down, maybe bloody us up a bit to let us know they mean business. Then they'll give us the choice. Join the crew, or be declared a stowaway and thrown overboard. The boy's eyes had grown wider and wider until they looked like big red and white dinner plates. But, his lip quivered again, but I can't swim. That's the general idea. And even if you could swim, we'd be so far from shore there'd be no way you could make it that far, even if you managed to escape the sharks and seals. I don't want to go to the Southern Isles, he whimpered. They say it's full of monsters and there's no food and no light and nobody ever comes back, that you can't come back, that once you go, you're trapped there forever. His voice was coming out in spasms now as the sobs overwhelmed him. Sadie had heard just about enough of it. She thought about giving him a nice kick to the head. That would shut him up. And she doubted he'd be much help when she made her escape anyway. He wasn't even a proper neighborhood wag. He was some artist's kid, probably suckled at the teat until he was 5. How he'd even managed to survive a month on the streets was beyond her. But he had survived. And didn't seem to be starving either. So there had to be something going for him. She wondered what it was. The boy's sobs had quieted back to sniffles. As much to stop him making that annoying sound as anything else, she said, So tell me, Rixa, whatever your name is, what was your mom like? What happened to her? He gave one last sniffle and wiped his teary red eyes with his shoulder. You really want to know? Course I do, she said, nestling her back into a burlap sack of potatoes and making herself as comfortable as she could with her wrists and ankles tied up. It could be hours yet before anyone came down to the cargo hold and she'd be able to make her move. A dreary story of an artist's son was better than no entertainment at all. Okay, his expression was earnest, but you gotta promise you won't tell anyone. I swear on my father's purple prick, said Sadie.